Fortnite Chapter 5 Season 2 Myths and Mortals is here, introducing Greek mythology into the Fortnite storyline after Pandora's box had been opened by Valeria, unleashing the Greek Pantheon and bringing a furious Zeus who wants to end all mankind permanently. Last season, Valeria, the most powerful boss of the society, had been studying a book with an illustration of Pandora's box on it in her office at Reckless Railways. Since the start of the season, the society had kidnapped Peely to use him as a bargaining tool in exchange for Jones's knowledge for the past, a plan deliberately made by Valeria to gain more knowledge, in turn granting her more power. Unfortunately for the society, Jones refused to tell them what he knew and Valeria grew impatient. Realizing she wouldn't get the knowledge she craved from Jones, Valeria had decided that she had gotten all the knowledge she sought whilst being a part of the society. With the faction being of no more use to her, she abandoned the society in search of Pandora's box. Eventually, she found and unearthed Pandora's box. The looper shot it down from the Titan's hand, and the evils contained within the vessel had escaped. Along with the evils that escaped the box, the Greek gods of Olympus had arrived on the island as well, bringing with them the underworld, Olympus itself, and an enraged Zeus who seeks to destroy all mortal kind once and for all. With their arrival, the Greek Pantheon wipe out the remnants of the society, all except for Valeria, who has gone into hiding and seized control of the island. All hope seems to be lost. But the Oracle, a mysterious being who foretells prophecies, speaks of a prophecy in which all mankind unites under one hero and convinces Zeus to spare all the mortals. A prophecy previously alluded to by the character Odyssey last season when she spoke with Hope. Speaking of Odyssey, the enigmatic traveler who'd uncovered the secret message behind the mosaic had mysteriously vanished this season. Although apart from her disappearance, an alternative style of Odyssey showcases her wearing a helmet that bears a striking resemblance to Fortnite's most arcane character, the Ageless, otherwise known as Geno, indicating a relationship between the two characters and possibly explaining Geno's motive for achieving absolute genetic perfection and founding the Imagined Order. Aside from that, after nearly 4 years, Midas, the mastermind with the golden touch, has returned alongside Marigold, Jules, and the rest of his team of agents. It turns out that the conniving criminal had been imprisoned in the underworld by Hades for the past 4 years, but has now escaped and is reuniting with his former crew of agents. From the arrival of the Greek Pantheon to the return of Midas, many questions have arisen, such as who are the Olympians, why does Zeus want to end mortal kind, what is the Oracle's prophecy, how did Midas return, what happened to Midas, and what is Odyssey's relationship to Geno? There's a lot to explain this season with the amount of lore we received, so sit back, relax, and let's unveil the mysteries of Olympus. Let's begin with our first question. Who are the Olympians? The Olympians, otherwise known as the Greek Pantheon or Greek gods, had been brought to the island after Pandora's box had been opened. The members of the Pantheon in Fortnite are Zeus, Poseidon, Hades, accompanied by his guard dog Cerberus, Aphrodite, Ares, and Artemis. However, in Greek mythology, there are about 12 Greek gods in the Greek Pantheon, so we should see more of them arrive on the island soon. Hades is the god of the dead, and he's one of Zeus's brothers. He oversees his domain, the underworld, with his fearless and ruthless pet dog Cerberus. Cerberus is in charge of guarding the gates of the underworld and ensuring the souls of the dead do not escape it. Hades is a neutral Greek god, and from what we know, he doesn't have anything against immortals. In dialogue between Aphrodite and Hades, Aphrodite even states that Hades always valued mortals in his own way. That's because each time a mortal dies, they enter the underworld and Hades can fulfill his duty. Although if Zeus ends all mortal kind, Hades won't be receiving any more souls to oversee, which can lead to chaos. Poseidon is the god of the sea, and just like Hades, he's Zeus's brother as well. In Fortnite's universe, Poseidon is actually made of slurp, just like Ripley, but Ripley and Poseidon aren't the same. According to his NPC description, Poseidon is the friendly face in the Greek Pantheon, who's always ready with a lighthearted laugh and prepared with endless stories. Meaning Poseidon is a chill Greek god and just loves to relax, work out, party, and have fun with others. However, ever since Zeus had declared that he wanted to destroy all mortal kind, Poseidon has been growing a bit worried. This is proven in dialogue between Poseidon and Zeus, where Poseidon tries his best to calm down his brother by asking him to tone down the lightning because he's scaring the fish. Considering Poseidon's chill with the mortals, he's likely trying to advocate for them as well, and not just for the fish. But just like Hades, he doesn't want to get on his brother's bad side, so he doesn't directly mention the mortals to Zeus. Poseidon just wants to be on good terms with everyone if possible. Before we move on to the next character, can we just talk about how much of a banger Poseidon's music pack is?
Every fish in the sea is the one for me. From the shore to the deep, I swim so free.
Anyways, Aries, Artemis is the goddess of the hunt. The goddess is always accompanied by her hounds whenever she hunts. She believes in being fair and honorable as a hunter herself and is neutral with the mortals. When interacting with the Artemis NPC, she says that she views the mortals as loud and noisy prey, opposite of the silent and stealthy hunter that she is. When questioned about Zeus, Artemis states that she honors Zeus. However, she has doubts about Zeus's leadership and believes that his desire to destroy mortal kind is dishonorable at its heart. This dialogue alludes that she will likely side with the mortals in the coming weeks to oppose Zeus and stop him from ending mortal kind. Ares is the god of war. Unlike most of the gods, Ares is completely on Zeus's side. Considering he's the god of war, this makes a lot of sense. There's not much about Ares at the current moment, but in Greek mythology, it is said that all of the Olympians collectively hated Ares because of his brutality, savagery, recklessness, and bloodthirst for battle. Which is why Ares is on Zeus's side to destroy all mankind. He's bloodthirsty. Although in Greek mythology, Aphrodite and Ares were a couple, so perhaps Aphrodite can convince Ares to oppose Zeus and he will accept her offer because of his love for her. Aphrodite is the goddess of love and the daughter of Zeus. Aphrodite is the exact opposite of Ares. Instead of fully supporting her father, she completely opposes him and is on the side of the mortals. According to her NPC bio, Aphrodite has spent countless eons saving mortals from wrathful gods and the gods from each other. When questioned about the mortals, Aphrodite says she doesn't really know how she became an advocate for the mortals among the gods. All she knew was that things didn't seem fair and she stood up for her beliefs, which gained her a reputation for protecting mortals. Even though Aphrodite doesn't know the reason why she started to defend mortals, the reasoning is pretty obvious. She's the goddess of love. After Pandora's box was opened, Zeus had declared that he would end all mortal kind. When Aphrodite is questioned about Zeus, she says that Zeus wasn't always like this. He used to even give mortals gifts, until one day something changed in him, and ever since then he's grown more distant from the mortals. At the moment, she doesn't know what the core reason for this was, but she's trying her best to stop her father's wrath before it's too late. Zeus is the king of all the Greek gods. He is the father of Aphrodite and the ruler of Olympus. He despises the mortals and wants to end mortal kind permanently. As I had just mentioned, Aphrodite claims her father used to have a good relationship with the mortals and granted them gifts as well, but then he changed and his hatred for mortal kind began to grow, until he reached his breaking point when Pandora's box was opened. Tying into our next question, why does Zeus want to end mortal kind? If you take a look at the Conqueror Zeus loading screen description, it reads, "I fear no prophecy. The reign of Zeus will continue until the end of time." Zeus says this whilst wiping out the society's bosses. But what prophecy does Zeus speak of? I theorize that this prophecy Zeus speaks of may be the reason why Zeus distanced himself from the mortals in the first place. In Greek mythology, whenever Zeus's position of power was threatened, he grew very irrational and corrupt. Zeus would punish those who dared oppose his reign by taking extreme measures to ensure he would maintain his power and title. He feared the idea of being overthrown just as he had overthrown his own father Kronos. What I'm trying to say here is that Zeus could have received a prophecy, whether that be from the oracle herself or someone else, and the prophecy foretold the end of his reign at the hands of a mortal or all mortal kind. This must have shocked and angered him. The mortals whom he granted gifts and was close with were gonna overthrow him? After hearing this prophecy, he distanced himself from the mortals just as Aphrodite had said, and likely became weary of them. Zeus probably wasn't going to end mortal kind, but once the loopers led to the opening of Pandora's box, that singular action must have been a trigger for Zeus, and he had decided that he would wipe out all mortal kind. Likely because the opening of Pandora's box was involved in that prophecy. Now mortal kind is in grave danger, but according to the oracle, there is still hope. Making way for our next question, what is the oracle's prophecy? In the oracle questline, when we interact with the scrying pool, we are greeted by a new character by the name of the oracle. Instantly, she tells us this.
Zeus's wrath is upon you, and doom is on the horizon. You must prove the worth of humanity to Zeus and the guardians of Olympus before the skies turn black. Finally, a fate worth foretelling. I do love a tragedy. Let's get you started.
Oracle tells us that if we don't convince Zeus and the guardians of Olympus to spare mortal kind before the skies turn black, it'll be too late and mortal kind will be annihilated by Zeus. Then she gets out of character and has us go through trials to see if we are worthy to defend humanity from Zeus. After completing 3 trials of agility, strength, and wisdom, we learn once completing the trial of strength that the Oracle is likely not a human. Oracle states that she has no muscles per se, and not in the way that she's weak, but rather that she literally does not have any muscle fibers at all. Nevertheless, once the trials were complete, we interact with the scrying pool, and the Oracle says this.
Good work. I mean, good work. Sorry, I leaned against the button. So Zeus wants to end mortal kind. Obviously, no immortal will be able to stop him alone. But if we can unite under the leadership of a true hero, humanity might survive his wrath. Prepare yourself. Your trials begin soon.
Oracle has noticed our talents and applauds us for it. She then tells us that the only way to stop Zeus is for humanity to unite under the leadership of a true hero. Oracle also informed us that mortal kind must build an alliance with the immortals if they want to stop Zeus as well. So the first immortal we contact is Hades. Once we eliminate a few players to catch the attention of Hades, he answers and reveals that we are the said hero that the Oracle spoke of. However, Hades scoffs at us and believes we are incapable of being the hero. To prove our worth and strength, he has us battle his beloved dog Cerberus and defeat him. Following the defeat of Cerberus, our skills had attracted the attention from the god of war himself, Ares. By visiting the scrying pool, we are immediately greeted with a bloodthirsty and boastful Ares who challenges us to an honorable duel. We accept this challenge, collect a warforged AR as a gift for him, and then commence the battle against Ares and his minions. After we'd beaten Ares in a duel, the god of war was enraged and proclaimed in anger that Zeus would hear about this duel. By defeating Ares, we had brought war to the gods, which is exactly what we want, so the immortals will have to choose whether they will side with the mortals or Zeus. We return to the scrying pool one final time, and the Oracle says this.
Zeus's closest allies have seen you fight, and you're stronger than they thought. I see your path more clearly now. Darkened skies, choking dust. Hope lost and found again. Or something like that. Prophecy's an art, not a science. Now is the time to build your alliance with the immortals. When an Olympian is ready to hear you out, I'll summon you. Be ready.
To summarize, Oracle tells us that the Greek Pantheon has seen us fight and we are much stronger than they believed us to be, meaning we must seize this opportunity to build our alliance with the immortals in order to stop Zeus. She also mentions a prophecy describing darkened skies, choking dust, and then tells us that our hope will be lost, but we will find it again. This prophecy foretold by the Oracle is very important. The first half of it likely refers to Zeus unleashing his wrath upon mankind, hence the darkened skies and choking dust, although the second half of the prophecy is about hope, which I believe ties in with the prophecy about Valeria's younger sister Hope. Last season, in a secret dialogue between Hope and Odyssey, Odyssey said, "Hope, the whispers were true." In my last video, I theorized that this is a prophecy related to Hope that Odyssey knew about, which is why Odyssey was shocked to see Hope. Fast forward to this season, more characters allude to there being something very special about Hope. The Aphrodite NPC tells Hope, "Listen to your heart, it will tell you what you truly are." The Medusa NPC tells Hope, "You carry great potential in you, mortal. I should know, I was much the same." The Poseidon NPC says to Hope, "Whoa, you glow like a sunken treasure. What are you?" And lastly, the Artemis NPC asks Hope, "Tell me, why does a hunter like you help the prey?" Each one of these characters noticed something extraordinarily special with Hope, and I believe that's because she is going to play an incredibly important role in defeating Zeus. The Oracle mentions in the prophecy that all hope will be lost, but it will be found again. I theorize that the Hope we will find again will be because of the actual character Hope, paralleling what happened with the story of Pandora's box, but obviously with Fortnite's own twist. After the box was opened, evils were unleashed upon the world, and only Hope remained in the box to comfort mankind. In Fortnite's case, Zeus is that evil in a way that came from Pandora's box, and Hope will be the one to restore hope to mortal kind after it is lost to survive Zeus's wrath. With that being said, Oracle tells us she will summon us again when an Olympian is ready to hear us out, and that's the end of the Oracle quests. Our next 2 questions asks what happened to Midas and how did Midas return? After nearly 4 years of radio silence from the criminal mastermind with the golden touch, Charlie Wen has done what many people believe to be impossible and brought back Midas into the storyline. Following Midas's defiance of the storm using his device to escape the loop, he vanished. Ever since then, we hadn't seen Midas directly involved in the storyline again except for Fortnite MYTHS 2020, but that Midas was believed to have been a snapshot and not the real Midas. This season, we receive 5 quests under the title The Rise of Midas that help explain Midas's return and much more. In the first set of quests, Midas Rises, we learn that Marigold has been searching for Midas since the moment of his disappearance. It turns out Midas had been imprisoned in the underworld by the god of the dead, Hades. The chains of Hades suppressed Midas's golden touch in his prison cell, preventing him from escaping. However, not even the chains of Hades could hold back Midas. In our investigation with Marigold, we discover Midas escaped the underworld with the help of a prison guard who unshackled one of his cuffs. In doing so, the guard mistakenly enabled Midas to escape his prison cell. Midas eliminated the guard using his golden touch, used his free hand to turn his other shackle to gold, then touched the cell door to soften the lock and pushed it open. Free at last, Midas ran away from the underworld onto the mainland and reunited with his old crew, where he would now test the loyalties of his closest agents, especially his right-hand man, Brutus. In the second set of quests, Et tu, Brutus, we learn that Midas left Brutus in charge of Shadow while he was gone. But Midas isn't one who trusts easily, and considering it's been 4 years, the mastermind is concerned that Brutus's loyalty has wavered. We help Midas in his investigation by interrogating some mercs, and all of them claim that Brutus is loyal, but that's not enough for Midas. We then double check if Brutus stole or skimmed anything from Midas, and fortunately he didn't. Midas was pleased and was nearly convinced, leaving us with one last task to determine Brutus's loyalty. After scanning the Marigold yacht for any spyware, otherwise known as bugs, we learned that the yacht was full of them. Midas was very displeased and had us confront Brutus to uncover the truth behind these bugs. When we spoke with Brutus, he immediately acknowledged that we'd been sniffing around, but Brutus doesn't mind, and he's glad Midas has another person watching his back. He then assured us that the spyware that was on the Marigold belonged to Hope from when the Society had possession of the yacht. And lastly, he told us that he was glad that he no longer has to lead Shadow, as it was too much stress to manage everyone. Following Brutus's explanation, Midas was glad to hear that he could still trust his right-hand man. With Shadow now once more under the leadership of Midas, Jules, the daughter of Midas, hears about her father's return and wants to help after not seeing her father for a long time. In the third set of quests, Jules versus the Golden Touch, Jules informs us that a mutual contact, who is likely Marigold, has assigned her with the task to create gauntlets to help Midas control his Golden Touch. Apparently, just like in Greek mythology, anything Midas touched would instantly turn into gold, which seems to possibly be a retcon of Chapter 2 Season 2 story. That's because in his cutscene, Midas was shown to clearly be able to control his Golden Touch when turning Black Knight's helmet into pure gold. Nevertheless, Jules sent us out to collect essence from River Styx that was used in the chains of Hades to prevent Midas from using his power when he was imprisoned. After collecting enough essence, we show Jules how the mod bench works before she can begin creating the gauntlets for Midas. Once that was quickly done, Jules realized that she's built stuff like the weapon mods in her sleep before, and she was ready to make the gauntlets for her father. She thanks us for her help and is excited that she may finally be able to create gauntlets for Midas that he can take off whenever he'd like and would suppress his Golden Touch. In the fourth set of quests, Myths of Midas, an unknown character by the name of the Storyteller, who could be Midas in third person, tells us about Midas's past. The first myth about Midas is how he got his Golden Touch. Here's what it reads. Once upon a time, there was a powerful king doomed by his greed. All he touched would turn to gold, a gift or a curse. This tells us that at some point before becoming a criminal mastermind, Midas was a very powerful king. The interesting part of this myth is that it refers to the Golden Touch as a gift at first, meaning that Midas could have been one of the mortals that Zeus gave a gift to. However, once Midas realized everything he touched would instantly turn into gold, he began to think of it more as a curse than a gift. Considering Midas refers to Marigold as a queen, it's possible that Zeus could have granted her the Golden Touch as well, which is why the two look alike. The second myth about Midas is the after effects of being gifted the Golden Touch. Here's what it reads. Once upon a time, a golden king could not eat nor drink, for all that he touched turned to gold. He never ate nor drank again. but some say he still wanders. This myth tells us after receiving the golden touch, Midas could no longer eat or drink since everything he touched would turn into gold, possibly explaining why Midas's skin turned pale. The third myth about Midas is when he turned his daughter Jules into gold. Here's what it reads. Once upon a time, a golden king transformed his young daughter into gold. At great cost, he returned her to life, but her trust was forever broken. This myth explains why Jules tried to stay away from her father and anything associated with him for a long time. She was traumatized by what happened to her. But what was the great cost? I theorize that the great cost must have been that Midas agreed he would join and devote his life to the imagined order and his daughter alongside him if the Io brought her back to life. A similar tactic that we saw happen with Jones and Sloane, where the imagined order offered to protect Jones's family under the condition that he would join the faction. After joining them, Midas and Jules would become immortal since every single member of the imagined order is granted immortality. From then on, Midas most likely gave up his royal title in life, became more modern, and joined the Io's Doomsday division with his daughter and possibly Marigold as well. The fourth and final myth about Midas is somewhat confusing. Here's what it reads. Once upon a time, a golden king turned his rose garden to gold. The blooms were beautiful, but cold. The king looked upon them and felt nothing. Now, I'd be shocked if this myth was literally just talking about Midas turning his rose garden to gold and then feeling depressed. The rose garden is likely a metaphor, and since roses are associated with love, I theorize this myth could be talking about how Midas's greed and the curse of the golden touch didn't make him feel happier, but instead it ruined his life and the lives of the ones around him. That's why after he turned the roses to gold, he felt nothing. His greed didn't lead to more happiness, but rather it led to sorrow. But over time, Midas learned to live with his golden touch and learned his lesson to not be greedy, cherishing the crew and family he has now reunited with on the island. In the final set of quests, the Great Marigold Yacht Heist, Midas and his crew had reclaimed his Marigold yacht and planned to flee the island to escape the wrath of Hades. In order to do so, Tina, Meowscles, Sky, and Brutus all set their own unique distractions to sidetrack Hades from recapturing Midas. We also learn from Midas that he isn't only leaving the island because of Hades. Midas claims that the island has always been too small for his ambitions. Before the Marigold set sail, Brutus told us soon this boat will set sail and the whole crew will be headed somewhere. Now, what's the importance behind this? Well, about a year or two ago, it was leaked that Fortnite was planning their own unique and original open world game. And considering Midas said that the island was too small for his ambitions and Brutus said that the crew was heading somewhere, then I theorize Midas and his crew are actually heading to the open world place. It'll be a world big enough for Midas's ambitions and would be a perfect way to tie the Battle Royale storyline into the open world game mode and continue from there. As of recording this video, Midas and his crew of agents had departed the island and are now journeying forth to a new world. Time will tell when we will see the mastermind with the golden touch once again. Leaving us with one last question. What is Odyssey's relationship to Geno? Before we can answer the question, let's quickly recap who Odyssey is. Odyssey is a character that was introduced to us in Chapter 5 Season 1 2 weeks before its end. She had coincidentally arrived on the island shortly after Valeria left the society in her pursuit for Pandora's box. In her NPC bio, she was referred to as an ageless spirit of adventure who holds great insight and wisdom. Noticing Valeria too had great insight, she confronted her by mistakenly believing she was a kindred spirit. Unfortunately, Valeria revealed her true colors and Odyssey realized that she only craved knowledge for power, not for insight. So Odyssey left her with a grave warning and soon after began reconstructing a mysterious mosaic with our help that foretold what was to come after Pandora's box had been opened. But by the time the mosaic was reconstructed, it was too late and Valeria had unearthed and opened Pandora's box. Then once Season 2 began and the Greek Pantheon had been brought onto the island through Pandora's box, Odyssey's NPC vanished. She was believed to have been one of the Greek gods, specifically the Greek goddess of war, reason, and wisdom, Athena. Then when her skin was leaked, a lot of us were shocked. A couple weeks back, a user on Twitter named Divine Wizard pointed out to me that Odyssey bears a strikingly similar resemblance to the ageless who was Geno's snapshot. After comparing and contrasting the same blue and gray cloth pattern, similar armor, the one hair strand that stands out, and the similar gloves between the two characters, I was beginning to believe there could be some sort of relationship between Geno and Odyssey. Lo and behold, the leaked skin of Odyssey had a variant as well, and she had a completely different helmet than what her survey skin showcased. Instead of having a flaming Spartan helmet, Odyssey has a helmet identical to that of the Ageless. Comparing the two side by side, and the similarities are literally uncanny. Now what does this mean? This means that Odyssey most definitely has ties to Geno because of their similar designs and most notably their helmets. I'm sure many of you may be wondering now, is Odyssey a part of the Oathbound? Short answer, no. The similar helmets do not mean Odyssey is a part of the Oathbound. She also doesn't have any Oathbound insignia on her armor or clothes. The Oathbound was the early version of the Imagined Order, which is Geno's vision for the entire Omniverse. From her character traits, it seems Odyssey would never endorse Geno's vision, since Geno's vision is to create or find a genetically perfect civilization, and I believe Odyssey, if related by blood to Geno, may be the reason why Geno created the Imagined Order in the first place. Hear me out. I theorize that Geno and Odyssey are siblings. Both were children of Greek gods, but here's the catch. Odyssey was born a goddess, flawless, a perfect being. Geno, on the other hand, was born imperfect. How do I know Odyssey is a goddess? Well, she's described as an ageless spirit guided by ancient insight. Ageless meaning immortal, and as we all know, the Greek Pantheon is immortal. She also has that ancient insight. Nevertheless, Geno wasn't a god, and he had been born with the hair disease poliosis. Poliosis being the iconic strand of hair that Geno has on his head. Both mortal and having a hair disease marked him as imperfect. He had flaws. I believe that Geno became jealous of Odyssey because he wasn't perfect like her, which was the root cause of Geno becoming obsessed with absolute genetic perfection. He wants to become perfect like his sister, if she is in this case. That's why Geno found the key to immortality, created the Oathbound, became obsessed with the 0 Point, learned about the Omniverse, founded the Imagined Order, and in the end became a geneticist who mastered the 0 Point and perfected himself. He became so obsessed with the idea of genetic perfection that he founded an entire faction to study beings from other realities and manipulate the 0 Point to acquire absolute genetic perfection. I still believe Odyssey could be the Greek goddess Athena, and she's Fortnite's take on Athena. Remember, Fortnite does not follow Greek mythology one-to-one, they only draw inspiration from it, so anything is possible. With the release of the Ageless Explorer last season and now Odyssey this season, I have a huge feeling we'll be seeing Geno debut in the storyline very soon. What do you guys think? And that wraps it up for the entire Chapter 5 Season 2 storyline explained. Thank you all for watching. Consider using my code Rezztro in the item shop, and see you guys in the next one. Take care.